Book of Proverbs. We're just about to come to the end of the exposition of the book of Proverbs, and today we are in a very interesting chapter. These remaining 3 chapters are just interesting. They are power-packed. They carry great message, and every statement in the book of Proverbs is a whole message. It's just a whole message. It just deals with you straight away, and it's just an amazing thing that we are going to look into this. So I'm going to read today from the American Standard Version and a New American Standard Version of the Bible, and I'll also be reading from the Amplified where necessary. So let us read Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 1 from the New American Standard Bible. It says, "A man who hardens his neck after much reproof will suddenly be broken beyond remedy." In the Amplified Version, it says, "He who, being often reproved, hardens his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy." Now here, Solomon is bringing a very important point. And this is specifically talking to those of us who are watching this broadcast right now, who have been corrected over one thing so many times, but yet you are still stiff-necked or hard-necked. Your neck is so tough, you cannot bend, you cannot change your position. Now, Solomon says, a man who hardens his neck after much reproof will suddenly be broken beyond remedy. Now, when he says suddenly, is almost saying for sure, is almost saying this cannot be avoided. There is one way out of it. You must come to a point where you get broken yourself and repent, turn away and correct this habit, or you will surely be destroyed without remedy. There is not going to be anything to appease. Just like someone who is told, repent, receive Jesus Christ, let him be the Lord and Savior of your life, and he hardens his heart forever. Do you know where this person is going to go? This person is going to go to hell, and there is not going to be any other remedy. You have got to go to hell because of your stiff-neckedness. You are so stiff-necked that you cannot change even in the presence of truth. Verse 2, "When the righteous increase, people rejoice, but when a wicked man rules, people groan." So he's saying of the blessings of the righteous in leadership. When the righteous people are in leadership, there is prosperity in the country. There is prosperity in the family. There is success. There is peace. There is tranquility among the people. But when the wicked rise into power, there is oppression, there is suffering, there is every manner of evil. So we do not pray for the wicked to take over leadership. We should always pray for righteousness and for the righteous. Like when we are being given an opportunity as citizens of any country to vote for people, to vote for the lowest office to the highest office, let us always go for those who stand for what is right. A man who loves wisdom makes his father glad, but he who keeps company with harlots wastes his wealth. Now here, Solomon is giving us a very important thing, that if we love wisdom, I know the love of wisdom is because we have the fear of God. So any son, any child who loves God, who loves wisdom, who walks in the fear of God, and hence walking in the wisdom of God, makes his father glad. But a child who keeps company with harlots, with prostitutes, such a child will waste all his wealth. You know, there is one thing that will never ever be separated from prostitutes and harlots, is that anyone who keeps company with them loses everything that he has ever invested. Sexual immorality will never ever leave you with anything. It will always take away everything that you had. How many people earn, and all that they earn, when they go to the bar or when they go to the brothel, they lose everything. That is exactly what sexual immorality can reward you. It will reward you poverty. It will reward you distress. It will reward you with hopelessness, with despair. That's what it does. The king gives stability to the land by justice, but a man who takes bribes overthrows it. So a just king brings stability in the country. Someone who rules with justice, with righteousness, with equity. This person, this king, this president, this prime minister, this emperor makes the country very stable. And then he says, but the one who takes bribe, a corrupt one overthrows the country. A man who flatters his neighbor is spreading a net for his steps. Let us read that one from the Amplified Version. So we look at verse 5. It says, a man who flatters his neighbor spreads a net for his own feet. So there are those who just want to flatter you, but they are not even with you at all. And such a people who use flattery to bring trouble to you, they end up falling into the same trap they set before you. By transgression, an evil man is ensnared, but the righteous sings and rejoices. The righteous is concerned for the rights of the poor. The wicked does not understand such a concern. Scorners set a city aflame, but wise men turn away anger. So if you have people in the city that are who scoff, who have perverse mouths, those people can cause war in the city. But wise people, they bring stability in that city. When a wise man has a controversy with a foolish man, the foolish man either rages or laughs, and there is no rest. Simply put, he says, there is no way a wise person and a foolish person will come to an agreement. Because a foolish person, you know, there is something that I have seen with the foolish people. Foolish people are very unstable. They lack consistency. They don't keep to the issues at hand. They jump from one goalpost to another goalpost. So in the long run, you don't gain any ground dealing with a foolish person. Men of bloodshed hate the blameless, but the upright are concerned for his life. A fool always loses his temper, but a wise man holds it back. So anger, anger makes you foolish. Anger honestly makes you foolish. I remember before the Lord delivered me from anger, I can look back and see how many foolish things I did because of anger. Verse 12. If a ruler pays attention to falsehood, all his ministers become wicked. The poor man and the oppressor have this in common. The Lord gives light to the eyes of both. Solomon is saying, in other words, why would you oppress other people? And yet you have one thing in common. You live the same life. You take in the same oxygen. In other words, Solomon is saying, don't oppress other people. Don't oppress someone just because he is not in the position that you are. Because in the long run, as human beings, you meet at one place. If you fall sick, you fall sick the same way. If you're suffering you'll suffer from malaria, it's the same malaria. If it is typhoid, it's the same typhoid. If it is a new day breaking forth, it is a new day for both the oppressor and the oppressed. So you are equal as human beings. And because you are equal as human beings, don't oppress others. If a king judges the poor with the truth, his throne will be established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child who gets his own way brings shame to his mother. Now, verse 14 says that if a king judges the poor with the truth, his throne will be established forever. So, if you are in position of authority, make sure that your judgments are based on truth and righteousness, justice and equity. Anything apart from that makes you the enemy of God. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child who gets his own way brings shame to his mother. Now, the rod represents discipline. Reproof is correction. So, discipline with correction produces wisdom. Do you want your children to be wise? Do you want your children to walk in wisdom? Make sure that you discipline them and you correct them and give them instructions of the Lord. A good father gives his children discipline. And I've always told you that discipline is the training that develops self-control. So discipline, train your child to have self-control. Train your child to be orderly. Train your child to be a man or a woman of character. And train your child to be efficient, meaning doing things within the timelines that have been given. If your child has been given homework by the school, make sure that your child finishes that homework in time. This is where success dwells. So let me repeat that verse. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child who gets his own way brings shame to his mother. Now, let me read from the Amplified, verse 15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left undisciplined brings his mother to shame. So if you let your child do everything that his little heart tells him, elsewhere, Solomon says, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child and is the rod of discipline that drives it away. So discipline helps the child to become orderly. If you don't discipline your child will never have order in life. And therefore your child will bring disgrace and shame to the family. Verse 16. When the wicked increase, transgression increases, but the righteous will see their fall. Correct your son, and he will give you comfort. He will also delight your soul. You know, that is the beauty of disciplining children. Today I was with my uncle and we were discussing things to do with child upbringing. And we were looking at our families. And we were looking at families that did not discipline children. They have not been able to gain any ground. But you find a family that didn't even have a lot of resources, but yet they raised up their children in discipline. Their children ended up passing exams. Their children ended up going to college. Their children ended up becoming successful persons. So training up the child, disciplining the child. By the way, it is the most important responsibility of a person called a parent. Proper parenting is the most important call a human being has. The call from the Lord, responsibility from the Lord. If you have children that you are not investing in by disciplining them and training them to walk and live their lives uprightly, you have yourself to blame and you will regret in the future. Where there is no vision, the people are unrestrained, but happy is he who keeps the law. Let us read that verse 18 in the Amplified Version. It says like this: where there is no vision, no redemptive revelation of God, people perish. But he who keeps the law of God, which includes that of man, blessed, happy, fortunate, and enviable is he. You know, any young person that doesn't have a definite vision of his life, and you know, vision is the forward glimpse into your future. The vision is that reason of your being that you want to accomplish with your life. Now, Solomon says, if a young man or a human being lives his life without a definite vision, meaning revelation from God of who he is, that person is unrestrained, meaning he is bound to perish. But anyone who has is blessed. A slave will not be instructed by words alone, for though he understands, there will be no response. Do you see a man who is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than for him. He who pampers his slave from childhood will in the end find him to be a son. So let's look at verse 21. He who pampers his servant from childhood will have him expecting the rights of a son afterward. Okay? An angry man stirs up strife. An angry man stirs up strife. But and a hot-tempered man abounds in transgression. You know, those two lines, it is one verse with two powerful statements. One, he says, an angry man stirs up strife. You know, when someone is angry, he doesn't know how to pacify a situation. He, on the contrary, fans it, causes it to burn, the situation to be out of hand. But a hot-tempered man abounds in transgression. Now, a person who has no control over his temper, that person can commit any sin, anytime, anywhere, anyhow. So if you are a hot-tempered person, know that you abound in iniquity. So the best thing is for you to learn on how to manage your temper and be delivered from that. A man's pride will bring him low, but an humble spirit will obtain honor. He who is a partner with a thief hates his own life. He hears the oath but tells nothing. The fear of man brings a snare, but he who trusts in the Lord will be exalted. Many seek the ruler's favor, but justice for a man comes from the Lord. An unjust man is an abomination. I will repeat. An unjust man is abominable to the righteous, and he who is upright in the way is abominable to the wicked. So this brings us to the end of chapter 29. But there are a few things that I would like to say about verse 25. The fear of man brings a snare. So if you, let me read from the Amplified, and you see how the Amplified renders it. Amplified says, the fear of man brings a snare, but whosoever leans on, trusts in, and puts his confidence in the Lord is safe and set on high. So here, when we say the fear, is when you put too much trust and reference into a man, it will put a snare. It is almost like what God says in the book of Jeremiah, that cursed is a man who puts his trust in a fellow man. When you rely in your fellow human beings, you put a snare to yourself. But he who trusts in God, he is safe and stable. So it's important for us to always trust and hope in God, for he is our stability, an ever-abiding help. He will never leave us. He will never forsake us. Jehovah God, Emmanuel, God together with us. God bless you and watch over you. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as we explore chapter 30.
Thank you for joining us today. Catch us tomorrow, same time, same place.